Okay, today we're going to talk about how to beat a background check. And by beat a background check, we mean literally, one, sue the company that offered you employment and then rescinded it after a background check, and two, sue the company that produced the background check report. So let's get started. Now, before we begin, we're going to let you know that in this video, we're going to talk about the 4 elements of a contract. And the 4 elements of a contract are offer, acceptance, valuable consideration exchanged, and mutual obligation. Okay? So, when there's a contract, when you get made an offer, that's part of a contract. That's the beginning of a contract, potential contract. If when you accept the offer, and then there's some exchange of valuable consideration, they give you some money, or you give them some of your time and effort. And if you have a mutual obligation to each other of some kind, there's a contract in place. So we're going to look at those parts of a contract as we talk about things like job offers and accepting job offers. Remember, offer and acceptance are part of a contract. The law that governs background checking by any company or any party, the law that covers background checking by any party is the Fair Credit Reporting Act. The reason we have legal protections for all of this is because your privacy in America is protected. Privacy in America is protected. And the 2 very important cases that protect your privacy in America, at least from government intrusion, are Roe versus Wade, which took its precedence from Griswold versus Connecticut. So, let's look at the Fair Credit Reporting Act. We're here at the Federal Trade Commission website, and the Federal Trade Commission is the body that enforces the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Here's the text of the Fair Credit Reporting Act as it was revised. This is Title 15. The Fair Credit Reporting Act is codified under federal law under Title 15 of the United States Code, Section 1681. And this is as revised of September 20 of 2018. So I believe this is the most recent copy. Okay. This is a lot of mission statement type stuff here. Okay, so when we look at the law, we're going to look at some of the important sections. We'll look at the short title real quick. We may look at the congressional findings and the statement of purpose. Definition and rules of construction are important to look at a law. This section right here, Section 1681B, is very important. It covers the permissible purposes of consumer reports. Okay, we're going to look at the compliance procedures real quick. There are procedures in case of disputed accuracy. You have the right to dispute the accuracy. There is civil liability for willful noncompliance. There's civil liability for negligent noncompliance. That means if they deliberately don't comply, they're liable. If they just out of stupidity and worthlessness don't comply with the FCRA, they're liable. There is even potentially a criminal liability. Let's see if we can find that here. Unauthorized disclosures by officers or employees may actually even be a felony. And this covers administrative enforcement. Okay? Obtaining information under false pretenses. So these are all, very stringent rules right here that govern all of this, you see? So this is the official document from the official government source, the Federal Trade Commission. Okay, and the link is in the description. The link is item number 1 in the description. Okay, link number 1 in the description below. And during the course of this live stream, our little auto chat bot there is going to periodically put the links there so you can click on them and follow along. Now, we are going to look at this on the Cornell Legal Information Institute. It's the same law, but the idea is it's clickable links. It has clickable links here so that we can go back and forth between the parts and get some a little bit extra value out of it. This document is a PDF, and as you can probably see, we're just constrained to go down page by page by page. Here we can click through to the different sections back and forth. It's hyperlinked, so we're going to go through that. Congressional findings and statement of purpose. Let's start there. Okay, this one's not too long. Accuracy and fairness of credit reporting. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, this is very important. The reason the Fair Credit Reporting Act governs background checks is because a background check for employment is the same thing as a credit check for like when you want to buy a car or something, okay? Accuracy and fairness of credit reporting. The banking system, the elaborate mechanism developed for investigating, blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah, blah. There's need to ensure that consumer reporting agencies exercise their grave responsibilities with fairness, impartiality, and respect for the consumer's right to privacy. Okay? So this is the statement of purpose. Congressional findings and statement of purpose. The Congress makes the following findings, that blah, 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 and there is a need that the consumer reporting agencies do this right, obviously. In this case, you are the consumer, by the way, okay? The term consumer means an individual, okay? All right? All right. You are the consumer. If they did a background check on you, you are the consumer. Definitions, rules, constructions, very, very important. The term person means any individual, partnership, corporation, trust, estate, cooperative association, government or governmental subdivision or agency or other entity. That's very important that a person means corporation, trust, estate, or any of these legal entities. It's important that it's saying that basically, and that's important. Don't trip out on the fact that a corporation is being defined as a person. Don't trip out on that. Understand that by doing this, that when they say person, they mean anybody that could have a background, any person or little legal entity that could have a background check done on it is going to have protections under this law. Okay, so don't trip out on the fact that person means corporation and things like that. It means literally if they're going to do a background check on you, regardless of what your legal status is, you're covered under the term of a person. The term consumer means an individual, i.e. a person. Consumer report, very important. That's what a background check is. It is a consumer report. And the company that produces it is a consumer reporting agency. All right? And for the purposes of credit or employment or any other purposes under Section 1681B, which is the permissible purposes we're talking about. See, 1681B, permissible purposes. This is where it gets sketchy, is because here it basically says for things like credit, employment, so forth, but independent contractors, as far as I can tell from the reading of the law, are exempt from background checks because it's not employment. You're independent contracting. We're going to look at that in a minute. So let's look at that. In general, subject to subsection C, any consumer reporting agency may furnish a consumer report under the following circumstances and no other. Okay? It's a very limiting clause there. It's a restrictive clause. It says these are the permissible purposes and none other. Not, you make some stuff up or you think, well, it makes sense in this case, so we'll just do it. No, there's a boundary there. And if you don't obey it, you can get sued or put in federal prison. Not, well, we had our need, or well this, or well that. People, smarmy corporate types are always, well this and well that. No, well nothing. You don't do it. All right, so a court order, for example, right? Court order. In accordance with the written instructions of the consumer to who it relates. So, in other words, you can always ask for a background check on yourself. To a person which it has reason to believe, credit transactions, employment purposes, insurance underwriting, license or other benefit of government instrumentality. Okay. That sucks. That's pretty restrictive. Payment risks, credit obligation to. Otherwise has legitimate business information in connection with the business transaction initiated by the consumer. Okay. Or to review an account. All right. So basically, if you read section 1681B, it doesn't say anything about independent contractors. But people do it on independent contractors all the same. They treat them all the same. Compliance procedures. All right. Void violations. By the way, you're entitled to a copy of your credit report every year, and you should use that. You can obtain a free copy of your background check report from any background check company every year. Same thing with credit agencies. And you should manage your credit by getting your free annual report. That is somewhere in this law it mentions that you're supposed to give a free yearly report. Public record for employment purposes. All right. So the bottom line is these people violate the law all the time. So let's talk a lot about the violations. One, it's not your records. It's somebody else with a similar name or same name who has records. So you can lose a job for something somebody else did. The other is that certain legal technicalities, like charges were dropped or dismissed and they still get reported. Basically, if you beat the charges by any way and they still get reported, you can collect for that. Because they're not supposed to be reported. If you beat the charges, it shouldn't get reported. Also, there's certain periods of time, like 7 years, that they can't go beyond. That's why it's so important to read this law and really look at the possibility, look at your protections. Because these companies are going crazy with these background checks. They're violating laws up, down, and sideways. It's really bad. And to the point where it's like a free-for-all in terms of your ability to collect money right now. As long as they keep doing this, you'll be able to collect money. And when they start obeying this law, you'll be able to get jobs. Because like I said, it happens all the time where somebody else's records get delivered. So person A will lose a job. Person A, who never committed any crimes or has no criminal records, loses a job because person B, somewhere completely else, or maybe in the same state but had the same name, committed crimes or has a criminal record. That happens all the time. It happens all the time. Going back beyond 7 years, there's a 7-year limitation on certain aspects of this. So it happens that they go back beyond 7 years. There's a case, Bankhead versus First Advantage Corporation. That was a huge class action settlement. I even got some money out of that. I got $65. That's what happens in a class action settlement. That's why it's better not to go class action. File your own suit, collect all the money. But basically, you can ultimately hold these people liable for something like $1,000 per violation. There's statutory fines associated with it, and it's guaranteed money. You may be able to collect treble damages, which is triple the damages, and you may be able to collect for the whole cost of the lost contract or employment. So if you're in the IT industry, you really should pay attention to that, especially if you're working as an IT contractor. Because these people do these background checks on IT contractors all the time. Even if you don't have any criminal records. Here's the best part about that. Even if you don't have any criminal records and you didn't lose the job, the fact that they still did a background check on you as an IT contractor means you can collect money just because they did a background check on you. If it's a violation of the law, if it's a violation of any part of the FCRA, you can collect money. Even if you didn't lose the job, you don't necessarily have to have had adverse action taken against you. If it was an impermissible purpose, you might still be able to collect. Certainly if they took adverse action against you, you have a right to do stuff about it. A person who knowingly, willfully obtains information on a consumer from a consumer reporting agency under false pretenses shall be fined under Title 18, imprisoned for not more than 2 years, or both. Title 18 is the Federal Criminal Code, okay? So this means you can do up to 2 years in federal prison for using false pretenses to run a background check on somebody. And as far as I'm concerned, these people are always using false pretenses. The fact that they're saying this background check knowingly. So they say it's necessary for employment or necessary for liability. That's a false pretense. They're saying you have to do it, or that, it'll only be a 7-year, and then they do the lifetime, and they say, oh, we made a mistake, blah, blah, blah. But now they got your whole life history. They do it on purpose. Or they say they'll give you a job as long as you take a background check, and then they rescind it. Those are all false pretenses. Okay? So those are the things you can use to help to sue for background check violations. If you got any questions, put them in the comments. We're going to come back to this a lot. We're going to look at court cases. We're going to do some phone calls. And we're going to talk about looking at getting jobs from Dice.com. Okay, so that's the first part of the background check. If you liked the video, put the thumbs up and subscribe to our channel, as always. But put comments in the description. Take some time to read the links there. You'll see it. It's not too hard to read. The important part, like I said, the permissible purposes. That's a definitely important one, probably the most important one right there. Also definitions, finding out what a consumer is, a consumer report is, finding out about the whole process. And the fact that you have an annual right to get a free copy. You always have you have a right to get a free copy of your credit file from a consumer reporting agency at least once a year. And when it comes to credit reporting agencies, there's a website for that, where you can get a free copy of your credit report from the 3 main credit reporting agencies. These are consumer reporting agencies, different from credit. They're background checks. The same law applies, but they reveal they investigate a different type of information. It's not strictly related to credit, but instead is for employment purposes. So that's what these background checkers are. They are really scum. These background check companies are the lowest scum on the earth, because what they do is they ruin other people's lives. And fucking second chances. They ruin other people's lives, and they profit for it. In the law, that might be called. There is a tort under law called unjust enrichment, and it certainly seems that these people are unjustly enriching themselves. They're making money doing these background checks while they ruin other people's lives. They subject other people to undue suspicion and undue financial hardship, an undue suspicion and distrust. They subject other people to undue suspicion and distrust that they would not be otherwise, experience or be subject to, or not otherwise have to endure, but for this industry. If you want to let us know, if you have any questions regarding background checks and how to beat them, donate to this channel, put a question in the comment, and we'll follow up. Okay? All right, next we're going to talk about, we're actually going to look for some jobs here on Dice.com. I'm going to split off that part of the video and save it as a separate video. The background check part of the video, we're going to split that off, save it as a separate video. Now we're going to go on to a new subject. Looking for jobs on Dice.com.